Oh, wait, hold on. Not going live there. Now we're going live.
Now we're going live?
Yeah, they can see
I
your
don't know,
face.
Josh. I've been lied to before about that.
Yeah.
I should probably go see because if people actually come into the channel. Oh, you know what I got to remember to do? Okay, we are live, but while we are live, you guys can see me while live. Say
Oh,
that.
we could talk this. We could talk about this on air, Waleed. But I was
Huh?
looking at it. If you guys give me admin privileges for Football Absurdities Discord, I
Yeah.
can make a thread so that every week we have waiver wire questions from the masses, and then I'll
Oh,
comb over them before the show, and we can kind
talk to
of.
Tony. I feel like that might also be something for Gambletown. That we
Sure.
could
Yeah.
probably do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony's the king of the Discord. Um, what are we gonna do? I'm not even saying anything fancy. What are we doing here? Copy that. Paste that. Hey guys, now we're live, and you guys might even know it. I think that hurt us like 2 weeks ago. Oh no, it was Gambletown. I forgot to announce. It was something that you were gone. I didn't announce, or maybe you were here and I didn't announce to everyone that was the thing.
Oh
And
no, I was probably gone because of the internet, the week that never was because of my internet issues.
yeah,
It's been a full week, but we're
I don't
back.
know.
But we're
No, but
back.
I think it was 2 weeks before. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Week 5 Waiver Wire Show. I got to go get my car fixed, so this is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be an abridged version, but it is going to be a pretty fast one. And we are going to try to cover everything you can for who you can pick up, who you can cut, and all of that fun
And to
stuff.
help you avoid bye weeks, welcome to
Yeah.
bye weeks, everybody.
Well, technically, last week was up in the bye
I,
weeks, but we weren't
but
here
I didn't
because,
get to say it, so
yeah. Bye, bye, bye. Okay, I'm done.
I made
Let's
the same
see.
joke.
So let's talk about quarterbacks you can cut. And this one that Jeff is going to talk about, you guys are getting sneak peek because these articles aren't up yet. They will be very soon, but they're not up yet. Daniel Jones at quarterback is a quarterback you can cut. For my own personal pay in my big money dynasty league, I decided to start Daniel Jones over Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy was facing the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Brock Purdy
That
is
was a
him,
mistake.
Waleed. Brock
Brock
Purdy
Purdy
is.
is him. I've actually Brock Purdy against the Cowboys defense just got elevated to you don't bench him. You don't bench Brock Purdy. He is him.
He's
Like
matchup proof.
what killed me the most about that game is I had a 3-leg parlay because I always do a dollar bet whenever they give me a 50% or more boost. And this is what I picked. I was like, I knew that the San Francisco 49ers were going to beat the Cowboys pretty handily because Mike McCarthy always loses to the 49ers. So I did an adjusted money line at 6.5. I took the Dak Prescott passing under, which was like 242.5. He didn't even get to 150. And then I took the under on that game because I didn't think the Cowboys were going to score. And I was right. What I didn't expect, because the line was 45, I didn't expect 42 points from the 49ers.
Oh, you didn't
So that
expect the
cost me
49ers to
$11
cover
or
it
$1.
all by themselves?
Almost. They were 3 points away from covering all by themselves, which is just insane. And there's nothing you can do about that. The process was good. I should have went for a CD Lamb under instead. I would have actually hit there because that Cowboys team was just, ooh. It's still a Mike McCarthy thing.
It's their year. It's their year, though, Waleed.
Yeah.
Just like every year.
So, we're talking about the Daniel Jones as a guy you can cut. Yeah. Not just that. I get that the Buffalo Bills were, did they play Buffalo? No, who did the Giants play this week? Who did the Giants play this week? I'm saying things and I'm not remembering what they are.
Is it Buffalo?
No, the Jags played Buffalo. That's why I don't. Oh, they played the Miami Dolphins. So I get it, but the Miami Dolphins defense hasn't been that good that
No.
Daniel Jones shouldn't have been able to do something. Like, who knew that it was the Giants defense that was going to keep him in that game? Giants look bad. Brian Dable's going to look real good with Caleb Williams, and I think that they are definitely in the running for that. Like Carolina is clearly the front runner with 0 wins. I don't know. Like there's a bunch of like 1-4 teams, like the Vikings. I think the Chargers are technically one. No, they beat the Raiders, so they're 2-2. What a difference like 3 weeks makes for them. But there are some. Yeah, I want to look at some of these like teams. Yeah, you got the Patriots at 1-4, the New York Giants at 1-4, the Bears and the Vikings at 1-4, and Justin Jefferson might miss time. We don't know yet. That's spoiler alert. We're going to talk about that in the wide receiver section today. Arizona Cardinals at 1-4, but I don't think they're. I think they're the best of the 1-4 teams. The Broncos are 1-4. Like the Bears are giving me like a little bit of hope that they can compete for a wild card, which is not a good thing.
Gross, Waleed. Gross.
Who knew that the NFC South was going to have the best like record of the divisions? Bucks are 3-1, Falcons 3-2, Saints 3-2. The Panthers are 0-5. But you know why they get to have winning records? They get to play the NFC South. That division still sucks. You can't convince me otherwise. So let's talk about quarterbacks who might be good too. Let's talk about a man by the name of Sam Howell. I want to say he's not necessarily good, but if you're looking for a quarterback for a spot start, you could do worse than Sam Howell. And what I put in my waiver wire article is I've been telling you for weeks to get C.J. Stroud. If you didn't listen and you still need quarterback help, that's on you. In week 5, Howell had 388 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Solid top 5 QB performance, and he got it all in garbage time. And this is where we're going to invoke what I call the Blake Bortles rule. The Blake Bortles rule is you don't have to be good at football to be good at fantasy football. Blake Bortles had 2 seasons in a row as a QB1, and like that doesn't sound like it should be true, but when you consider how bad that Jags defense was and how often they were playing from like 20 points behind, garbage time stats still count. Sam Howell is going to be that garbage time stats guy. And like they drop back to pass more than anyone in football. He's got the 4th most pass attempts, so they're going to sling it. So if you need someone with a decent floor, Sam Howell feels like he should be that guy. Let's get back to the thing that's really important here.
Because we're an informative podcast, Pittsburgh and Green Bay have buys this week.
Oh, that is probably something you need to know. And I'll be honest, you weren't starting either of those quarterbacks. If you're starting Jimmy Garoppolo or Jordan Love, you have problems. And I was right that Jordan Love was a flash in the pan. Did you see that?
Yeah.
3 interceptions last night against the Raiders. Really? You can't beat the Raiders? But then again, like the Raiders can't beat the Packers either, barely. Like, yeah, that was just ugly, and it makes me sad. Also, it makes me happy. Running backs you can cut. Jeff is finally taking a stand here. Najee Harris, he's like, every once in a while, he says, I feel like I'm jumping a gun on some players, and it's a thin line between jumping a gun and being way ahead of the curve. While most folks are asking you to bench Najee Harris and preaching patience, he's asking why. Because through 5 games, Harris is the RB42 in points per game. And he has subpar efficiency at 4.2 yards per touch and subpar volume at 13.6. Warren has taken the red zone looks. And here's the thing. I agree with Jeff. I think Najee Harris, I think it's probably a week too early. He's definitely benched everywhere for me, but I don't think I'm starting him either, ever. Because they're
also Warren is on the cusp for me as well, but that's I just don't like any of the Pittsburgh backfield right now.
It's a split backfield on a garbage team.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the Steelers have do the Steelers have 2 wins or 3 wins? They are 3-2, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if you've watched football, they do not look like they are 3-2. They look awful.
Honestly, that's the biggest statement. Like them being, what'd you say, 3-2, Waleed? Them being 3-2 is a huge statement over how bad the Ravens look this year.
Dude, the Ravens have looked good. The Ravens even looked good for most of the game, and then all of a sudden, in the last 5 minutes, the Steelers' defense just came back and won the game because the Ravens' offense wasn't doing anything. Yeah. Ravens' defense did its job. Like the Ravens are the best team in that division, and they're going to win it. And I feel strongly about that one. Another running back you can cut is Cam Akers. He's bad with the Rams. When he was getting all the touches, he's looking bad with the Vikings, and he doesn't get all the touches.
Turns out it doesn't matter the shape of the horns on his helmet. You're cutting him regardless.
Love it. But if we straighten these horns out, maybe he's going to run. Nope. Turns out he still sucks. Dalvin Cook is 69% rostered, and I can't imagine rostering Dalvin
Nice.
Cook. Like, they played the worst run defense in football this week in the Broncos, and he only had 6 carries and didn't top 30 yards. So, yeah, you can get rid of him. But you know what running backs you do want to get? Let's talk about Amari DiMercato of the Arizona Cardinals. Only 1% rostered and the number 1 waiver wire priority of the week. James Conner's going to miss multiple weeks, it looks like, with his knee injury. That means that Amari DiMercato is the next guy up. And James Conner has been a solid RB2 this season. So if DiMercato fills that role, then he's going to have great value. And if you need running backs, and I'm going to be honest, if you don't need running backs, you still need running backs. As the immortal Jeff Crisco once said, you know how many running backs you need? One more than you have. That is how fantasy football works, is they just die. And you got to churn running backs, so the more depth you have, the better. And I want to point out, like, in week 6 or in week 5, DiMercato, in basically the second half, because James Conner played the first half of the game, he had 11 touches, 67 all-purpose yards, and a touchdown. That was still a solid RB2 performance this week. Maybe high-end RB2, low-end RB1, based on how the situation went, based on your league settings. Running back situation is so bad, they signed Tony Jones Jr. That's how bad it is in Arizona.
Yep.
Amari DiMercato is going to be getting the looks. He had a 77.2% snap count in week 5. He's likely going to be the volume guy. The reason, and he's the first guy I have here, because the next one's a little bit trickier. We're going to talk about Roshan Johnson and Donta Foreman. If you watched the Thursday night game, you saw Khalil Herbert take a pretty bad ankle injury. He's expected to miss at least a week, maybe 2.
That's a couple. That's a couple week injury.
Looks like a couple. It looks like a couple weeks. The crazy thing about that was he tried to go back and play.
It's a lot easier to do that on an injury like that, like to tape that up like as it happened. It's a lot easier to do than after a couple days of rest, because like coming from an athlete's perspective, like you get that swelling the next couple days, and you're just not the same. Like once the body has started the healing,
unless you're David Montgomery,
it's a lot harder to contend with. Well, yeah,
if you got David Montgomery's Wolverine blood, you'll get back there quickly. But Khalil Herbert probably doesn't have that, so he's going to be. Here's the problem though, and the reason I list both Roshan Johnson and Donta Foreman is because they were down. The Bears were down to their fullback because Roshan Johnson got concussed that game. Mm-hmm. If Roshan Johnson is not injured, he's the clear-cut guy, and he's only 30% rostered. You want to smash him, and you're grabbing him. The problem is, and Donta Foreman should have some value, just like Roshan's had some very spot value this year. But the problem is, if he doesn't clear concussion protocol and you burn your waiver on Roshan Johnson, then you're like, why didn't I just grab Donta Foreman? Mm-hmm. I think that the real move here is probably waiting for waivers to clear, hoping that 1 or 2 fall through and grabbing that guy, just so you don't burn it. If you have Fab, don't go too crazy. But at the same time, I also say Roshan probably has long-term value because he might not be good for you this week, and if you don't need running back help right away, next week he should have cleared concussion. I
honestly think Foreman's the better spot start. But if you have the ability to stash, if it's not important that you get a running back, I think Roshan
long-term, for this week, Donta Foreman is probably the guy. For the next few weeks, it's probably Roshan Johnson. That's exactly how I would have put it. Here's another one that I've noticed getting a lot of buzz in the waiver wire feeds is Tajee Spears. So everyone's talking about Tajee Spears, and here's the thing. His role hasn't changed in Tennessee. The only difference between this week and the last 4 weeks
caught passes
is he got a touchdown.
Oh, he took.
Really? He's been catching passes, too. He's been getting runs. He had 11 touches, 69 all-purpose yards, and a touchdown. You take away that touchdown, that's a pretty mediocre line.
And winter is coming.
you would think that would be like when they just start using Derrick Henry, but so far they're just doing a split backfield, which doesn't make sense to me because why do you have Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry is meant to be a battering ram that you keep hitting opposing offenses with.
It's the Todd. I can see it coming from a mile away. It's the Todd Gurley syndrome, like,
Todd Gurley does not have. Todd Gurley had a degenerative knee. We always knew it was a ticking time bomb. Actually, so does Tajee Spear. He doesn't have cartilages. So
already
he might be the. He was drafted that way. That's why he fell. Like there are people who say like he might not be a guy who can count on long term. But like I'll tell you what, Tajee Spear, like he passes the eye test. I mean, I find him interesting, but I don't know that he's the same as he has been. He's a stash. If Henry gets hurt, he can have value.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting some looks, but the problem is, like Tajee Spears only has value if you believe in the Tennessee Titans offense. If you watch football, you probably don't. Tannehill looks old. He had a good game this week, but he was against the Colts secondary that's bad. So, no thank you. And then now the final running back that I talk about in this is Schrodinger's running back, Justice Hill, or basically any Baltimore Ravens running back, because Justice Hill was just there to make everyone who started Gus Edwards this week get filled with rage. Because when you start Gus Edwards, Justice Hill goes for 11 touches, 43 yards, and a touchdown. But if you had started Justice Hill, then Gus Edwards would have had those lines. Doesn't matter which running back you start in the Baltimore Ravens.
I feel like I'm witnessing the door problem in real time.
It's like 100% that. Oh, it goes both ways. Is that the door problem? Or?
No, the door problem is like if you pick out of 3 doors, which has the prize behind it and which has the goat behind it, and the announcer gives you the option to pick the other person at the last second. Statistically, you are supposed to switch your pick at the last second for more statistical value. But
post Karl Malone, we did not mention Chuba Hubbard because honestly, I mean, I get it. He's been getting some touches while Sanders has been hurt, but I still think Sanders is the guy. But also, I think I don't want shares of Carolina's offense, especially when it is still a committee.
Mm-hmm.
Like have you watched Carolina? They're awful. Like I don't know what like 40 yards and like a couple of catches does for you at running back, and that's what Chuba Hubbard is most likely going to project most games.
And this is coming from someone that wishes Chuba Hubbard was good. Because imagine the naming conventions if I had him on my team.
Yeah, I agree. You could do it, like Chuba Hubbard has a great name. Very little fantasy football value to me.
Chuba, choo choo.
Fats Engelmum. Should I trade CeeDee Lamb for Raheem Mostert and Devonta Smith? Honestly, if you need running back help, I kind of like CeeDee Lamb is probably slightly a tier above Devonta Smith, but CeeDee Lamb is going to be inconsistent. He had a really bad matchup this week against the 49ers because he's running most of his routes out of the slot, and that's where.
But I assume if you're getting rid of CeeDee Lamb, you're probably flush at wide receiver at that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. A-Chain is dealing with the knee injury, and frankly, all those guys get hurt. And if A-Chain is hurt, then, I mean, it just means that that Jeff Wilson takes those, like, roles. Mostert's always going to be in a committee. Like, Mike McDaniel wants to, like, rotate people out. But also, they're scoring 38 points a game. Give me a running back on an offense.
Script.
Yeah. Like, give me the running back on a team that does that. And Devonta Smith has been – you're buying Devonta Smith low, but he's not going to be because – he had a bad game this week too. I actually just traded Justin Fields and Gabe Davis for Devonta Smith. And the reason I did that is because I have Stephon Diggs already, and I feel weird trotting out Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, even though honestly, like it works. Like especially this week, the league that I started, Diggs, Davis, and Allen, I rolled people because I had the QB2, like one in the top 5, and I had 2 wide receiver ones this week. Let's look at Devonta Smith though, because he's had some weak games. What did he have this week? Because it was all AJ Brown, right? Yeah. The problem was that he only had 1 catch for 6 yards because Dallas Goedert was getting all the work. But like Devonta Smith is a low end wide receiver 1. right now, Raheem Mostert is a RB1 also. If you need running back help, I don't hate that trade. I really don't. And I think people are like forgetting too because he had the one catch for 6 yards. Like he's gonna have dud games. Everyone does. But Devonta Smith is still he's getting minimum 5 targets a game, and he's a big play guy. And he was playing a Rams team that's actually kind of good. The problem was the Eagles' game plan this week was just to grind out the clock. Like I was going nuts because I had bets on the Matt Stafford passing over, the Cooper Cup passing over, and the Cooper Cup and the Puka Nakua passing receiving overs. Like, and the receiving overs all hit, but Matt Stafford didn't get his yards because he wasn't on the field. Like the second half, it was just the Eagles doing dink and dunk short plays, like smashing with AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert, and like, what are you gonna do? It was just a bad game. Uh, that's a good question. What do I do with Zach Moss? I think you ride the hot hand a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain point where I'm just like, I'm a big believer. Like, if you just keep doing it week after week, I assume that coaches think the way I do, and they're just going to keep trotting people out there.
How pissed is Irsay right now that he spent all that money on Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss is
spend that much?
Well,
yeah, no, he didn't spend that much, but like, yeah, until Zach Moss proves otherwise, go for it. Yeah. Jeff has no cuts for the wide receiver room this week, which I thought was interesting. But I want to talk about there's a couple of rookie receivers that are really like at the forefront of the conversation this week. Josh Downs and Rashee Rice. And I think people kind of have it backwards here. Like Josh Downs had a monster week in week 5. And I think there's a lot more evidence that this was not a fluke because like if you've been paying attention, Josh Downs has been getting the usage. Like he led all Colts receivers with 6 catches for 97 yards.
And it's sort of been quarterback proof, right? Because some of that's been with Gardner Minshew, and some of
it has been with Anthony Richardson. I 100% agree with that. He's also like the receiver the new coaching staff drafted, which makes me worry about my boy Alec Pierce. But Alec Pierce has been running routes. Like that receiver room is actually really exciting. And in the second half of the season, I could see that offense really blowing up. I hope Anthony Richardson's okay. I know that injury looked good, but luckily nothing was broken because we thought it was a collarbone or a shoulder when we saw it. Josh Downs was second on the team in targets in week 5. And the reason it's not like a fluke is he's running a route on 72.5% of all of the team's dropbacks. And he's third in routes run compared to the top 2 receivers, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. But it's not like he's running a significant amount of routes less. He's really close to them in numbers. Like they're running a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, and Josh Downs is getting on the field. And he's been finding that usage all year. Like he has the traits of a rookie to me that breaks out in the second half. Like I'm seeing it, and I think that he's the guy where I have the space I want to stash because I think he's that guy that like comes out of nowhere in your fantasy playoffs and just is a PPR monster. Josh Downs looks good on the field too. That's important to say. On the flip side, the guy that I think people like more and are trying to manifest is Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, because let's see, in week 5, Rashee Rice had 4 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. Solid stat line for a wide receiver too. Here's the problem: he ran 8 routes in week 5. 8.
Ooh.
Yeah. He had a snap count of 30%. On the season, like. He's only running a route on 28.7% of the team's dropbacks. In week 5, he ran it on 18.6% of like team dropbacks. He's like number 9 on the team in routes run.
Honestly, I think people are trying to do is create consistency in the Kansas City wide receiver room, and it just doesn't exist.
It's Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, and everyone else at this point.
Yeah.
Good question, Carl Malone, and I'm actually gonna get there. We'll get there. Let me finish talking about one other guy first, like after I'm done with Rashee Rice, because what was I say? Rashee Rice. The problem is people are trying to manifest because he's a second-year rookie, and I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be wrong about Sky Moore sucking as a rookie. That they don't think that Rashee Rice, who is more talented, can also suck as a rookie. Rashee Rice looks like the most talented receiver on that roster, but the way they're using their players, he's not getting the usage. He's not getting the looks, and you want Patrick Mahomes to have that guy. That's what you're trying to have, and it's not happening, and you can't make it happen. If you don't have Travis Kelce or Pacheco, I wouldn't stress this wide receiver room. It's going to be more of a headache than anything else. Until his usage goes up, I don't believe in him. But you know who I do believe in? And it's a guy that like I keep trying to find reasons not to be interested in. Let's talk about about Josh Reynolds. Sorry, you know who I'm going to talk about though. Let's. What is this? Sorry, I was getting a text. So Josh Reynolds, I keep trying to find reasons not to want Reynolds, but every week it's harder. He's number 3 in routes run on the season, behind Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown for the team, and he's pretty much like. If you take away, he had a goose egg in week 3 where he did 0. But if you take that away, like he's been pretty consistent. He's also the wide receiver 21 on the season. The Detroit Lions are the number 4 scoring offense. I mean, Josh Reynolds is a flex option until proven otherwise. Yeah, Jameson Williams might take over that role, but he hasn't yet. And until he does, and as long as Josh Reynolds is putting up low-end wide receiver 2 numbers, he needs to be rostered everywhere. The fact that he isn't is insane. He's only 28% rostered. And he's a guy that he's probably like, after Downs, he's probably the number 2 guy I'm looking at because I think he might have long-term value. A guy who has short-term value with the Justin Jefferson news. That's a good question. And do we officially know if Jefferson's playing or not? Has that come out yet?
Not that I'm.
I know that he has the hamstring injury. I'm going to Google this right now.
I think it's just safe to assume that hamstring is a long-term thing, but Justin Jefferson's also.
Oh no! There's definitely news.
Oh, is there?
I got to change my mind. KJ Osborne just got bumped up ahead of like everyone, with the Vikings placing Justin Jefferson on the injured reserve list.
Ooh.
He's out for at least 4 weeks. Yeah, KJ Osborne.
Don't mind me
going to be,
as I check my waiver wires right now.
It's not IR very likely. It actually just posted like about Sports Illustrated just said an hour ago he's going to be out for 4 weeks. I need KJ Osborne then. KJ Osborne led the team in like snap counts without he ran the majority of the routes. Where was I thought I had a percentage for that. What did he have in week 5 on his snap share? I want to say it was like 77% of the routes run. That's gonna kill me. And I just traded Jamar Chase in that league. Oh my god, I have no receivers.
Oh, I have to wait to see. I have to wait to see if this trade goes through. Yeah.
What trade is that?
Oh, I've got a blockbuster trade. So there's a guy that keeps giving me shitty trade requests in the comic league, and so I finally just decided to put up or shut up. He wants to, or I want to send him. He wants to basically get C.J. Stroud and Kyren Williams from me.
Okay.
And so he wants to send me just for spots. Jimmy Garoppolo, and George Kittle, and then he was also sending me over like Najee Harris in his version of the trade. But my version of the trade is sending him C.J. Stroud, Kyren Williams, Gabe Davis, and Tyler Lockett for Jimmy Garoppolo, Christian Kirk, George Kittle, and DeAndre Swift.
There's too many bad parts in that. I don't even want Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, it's just a pick swap.
But Kirk and Swift, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go for it.
And then Kittle, just to make it hurt. But it's just like, put up or shut up, dude. Like, this is the caliber of trade I would be looking for. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So yeah,
but yeah.
KJ Osborne had 5 catches for 49 yards, and he led the Vikings in routes run in Week 5 after Jefferson left. They're playing the Chicago Bears this week, and the Vikings do have a pretty soft schedule. Get KJ Osborne everywhere. I'm probably bumping him up a lot higher. Compared to, because Josh Downs is a guy like he's got to be the number 1 wide receiver of the week. In fact, I got to edit this, because
now it's the number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah. Let's get back here. You know what? I'll do that off the air. One other receiver that's worth talking about here, Curtis Samuel. He's worth talking about because he has been kind of producing. Week 5, he had 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown. But the problem is it's hard to get excited for Curtis Samuel. He's getting some usage, but Howell likes to throw to his tight ends a lot more than anything else, and he's distributing the ball fairly evenly, which means that, like, even though I don't mind Sam Howell as like a spot start at quarterback, I don't want I don't want Washington offensive weapons because that team just seems like a mess. Having said that, there is one exception to that, and that is my week 6 waiver wire tight end. Logan Thomas has been getting a lot of targets. In week 5, Logan Thomas had 11 targets, 9 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Granted, against the Chicago Bears. But he's interesting because he's 11th in routes run among all tight ends, and he's missed a game. So he's running routes more than just about anyone. And on a per route basis, he's near the top of the position. So that means he's going to have more opportunities to catch balls. And tight end suck. I won't burn a waiver wire on a tight end, but for him, I will consider like doing something. So let's go back to this because I need to cut list for this last tight end that you can cut. Oh, guys, I love Jeff's list. Tyler Higbee with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp there, both back there. Higbee was not used a lot, and I have a feeling that Higbee is going to continue to be the odd man out.
And can I tell you, Waleed, this is partially why I'm okay with trading Kyren Williams in this trade, is because I feel like his success rate is going to go down with so many passing mouths to feed in LA. But
I personally like for that trade because you're also getting Swift back. I don't hate it as much.
Yeah.
But Kyren Williams is a guy that I'm not getting rid of because his.
Oh no! I mean, the only reason that I'm sending him is because I would get something comparable in return.
Yeah. And you'd be upgrading your tight end position. So.
Right. Well, I have Mark Andrews.
Jonnu Smith has been startable, but also I don't think any skill positions on Atlanta are startable. So. I don't know. Right?
Outside of Bijan, you mean?
Outside of Bijan, like skill positions at the boundaries, like at the receiving spots. Where are you here?
Drake London is not awful, but he's not good either.
That I think that about sums it up. And of course, the minute I cut Kyle Pitts in leagues is when he outperforms Jonnu Smith.
Let's hold on, Waleed, but let's remember that this happens twice a year, and everyone's like, finally. And then those people lose their fantasy football leagues.
No, I agree. And it's also worth noting that the Houston Texans give up the most passing yards to tight ends. Mm-hmm. So it's not that much of a surprise. Tyler Higbee only had 3 targets, 2 catches, and 20 yards against the Eagles. And I think it's the 4th time in 5 games he has failed to get 65 yards or surpass 5 receptions. You can cut Tyler Higbee. Hunter Henry, Jeff says that he's divesting himself of as much of the Patriots passing game as possible, and that means getting away from all of their tight ends. He had 6 catches, 68 yards, and 0 touchdowns over the last 3 games. Which, hey, do you remember what I said about Hunter Henry? Where I said he had 2 really good matchups those first 2 weeks, and that's the only reason he was good. And then he stopped being good. Turns out I was right not to tell you guys to all get Hunter Henry. I'll victory lap here. Dalton Kincaid. You know, the real Dalton Kincaid is Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is what we were promised Dalton Kincaid would be. And it turns out Dalton Kincaid isn't the number 2 option in the offense. You know who is? My baby boy, Gabe Davis. The guy I was also telling you would be. He had 90 targets last year, and he was awesome. And he's continued to improve on that this year. So, yeah. Long story short, you don't need Dalton Kincaid, Hunter Henry, or Tyler Higbee, and I was right about tight ends. They're all garbage except the ones I told you would be good. Yeah, I don't want any parts of the Pats either. And I think that covers everything, and I got to go get my car fixed. So we're going to end abruptly. Thank you guys for listening. If you're not subscribed to Football Absurdity, please do so. Next show is going to be Thursday Night Farce Ball on Twitch. and we will have the Gambletown noon Central Standard Time if you want our betting lines. I want to point out that we are crushing it this year. If you only did our top 5 bets of the week, our parlays, and our millionaire bets, you would have at least doubled your money that you started with, and probably a lot more, because I've hit like 3 parlays this year. And
Good stuff.
Oh yeah, and also Sit Start Show every Sunday at 10:30 with Josh and Evan.
Yep.
Not
No.
Josh and Evan.
No.
Jeff and Evan. Not Josh. Josh has wheelchair rugby, so he can't do it.
No, yeah, I'm already sitting, and starting. I do both.
All right.